Hi ladies and gentlemen, before we get started, of course I want to remind you again of the importance of being involved in these organizations that are trying to expose, investigate, and prosecute pedophile networks in our country and throughout the world. If there ever was a war where you don't have to worry about conscientious objection, this is it. So please remember Navy SEAL Craig Sawyer's website, vetsforchildrescue.org. And here's some other artistic examples of what he is trying to do to get people aware of what's going on here. I think these show his commitment to what's going on, so I hope you can get behind him. And also there's this website here, which I've talked about before as well, opdeepstate.com. Both of these are very important, very easy to get involved with, and I hope you go and take a look and get involved in this most worthwhile of causes. Thank you. I'm Roy Potter, a former U.S. Army Lieutenant Colonel. Welcome to the Potter Expositor. Hi ladies and gentlemen, it's May 19th, 2017, and I thought I'd give you a little catch up on this video. You know, there are so many people out there doing so many great things that the little bit I do here is probably of not a whole great consequence, but I do have that background where I can kind of give you some of my innate and educated, experienced feelings on what's going on. And so I hope that that is worthwhile. The number one thing I wanted to tell you is I would make longer videos if YouTube would let me. I used to be able to do that, and then they caused me a problem and I couldn't re-upload longer videos. So I've just stuck with the 15 minutes, and I know sometimes the thoughts aren't always completed, but I think it's probably better because I have a tendency to be verbose anyway, so it's probably to your advantage that I don't have more time. Okay, the things that are going on. Number one, I got some information just a few minutes ago that it came from DC Clothesline, but the information was sent to me from a medical authority telling me that the attending physician of Seth Rich, the DNC guy who was shot in the back in DC, who apparently gave 44,000 emails of Clinton's and the DNC to WikiLeaks, his wounds were not fatal when he got to the hospital. I can't verify that, but it's an interesting side note to this whole story. And of course, we know that the guy that he gave those emails to, McFadden, was killed as well. And then there have been other, who work for WikiLeaks. And then we have all these other people involved in the DNC who ended up dead as well. A lot of bad things going on out there, but of course the FBI and the DC police say there's nothing to check out here, right? Yeah, and then they wonder why we have no confidence in them. You all know about the Comey memo by now, and you know that, and I sent this out on a tweet the other day, and a lot of people did. Thank you for that. It's talking about that, he wrote this memo back in February that supposedly Trump had told him to close down the Flynn investigation, more or less, but then he testified to Congress on May 3rd that he has never been asked to do that, and so now there's a whole bunch of difficulties with that. The point is, you just can't trust these people. Why is it that the people in government don't have to remember things just as exactly the way they happen? But if you get called into the FBI or the IRS or whatever, and you make a misstatement, they use it against you. You know what? You just don't talk to them. Just don't talk to them. And I knew that from a professional point of view. Okay, and of course that has spurred a whole lot more calls for not just impeachment, but we know that the deep state and especially the Democratic Party is working to try to, because Obama signed that whole thing with the Department of Homeland Security controlling elections, that they want to have new elections. And this came out on Alex Jones today. And it's really not new news. We knew that they were doing this, but apparently there is a bigger push now by them to do it. And in conjunction with that, of course, this entire deep state is trying to not just unseat President Trump, and I think everybody understands this, President Trump is the symbol of the restoration of the American Republic that the American people asked for. And we can argue about the election and how many votes there were and all that, but the bottom line is that's where it was. And of course, if the voter check goes through that Trump wants to do, we're going to find out he had a lot more votes and that Clinton had a lot less because of this whole thing with illegals and dead people and all that. But at any rate, we have Soros and Obama, the OFA of Obama's, and all these things funding these radical groups that are again starting to arm up, so to speak. And all of the disinformation. We found out that there's a whiteboard in Obama's home there with Valerie Jarrett, where she is. Every day they have a new list of things that they're going to throw at Trump through the MSM and other things to cause him difficulty. This is subversion, sabotage, maybe sedition, and yet the FBI won't look at it. They really care about the constitutional American Republic, the one that they raised their right hand to swear allegiance to and take an oath to. Yeah, you know what? When you look at what happens on the ground, you don't see this at all in the United States government. It's a free-for-all of murderers, thieves, and liars. I could talk a lot about all the people that are involved in that, but I wanted to at least mention that with the Dems. And then I want to talk about real quick a little note that I got from along those same lines. You know, we have this big civil war going on. A lot of people have been talking about it. Ed Rollins on Lou Robs, Lieutenant Colonel Anthony Schaefer, some really big names. And of course, smaller guys like me, we've been warning about this for a long time because we see this. We see it happening. Our training and our experience, we can see what's happening. And the deep state is, just like I say on my opening pictures there, the deep state is our most dangerous domestic enemy by far, more so than anything else, even ISIS. But I got this from, I have some intel contacts, and I received this, and I just wanted to, this is a very long message, but I want to read the part that basically sets it off. And this is from an intel source, okay? I have a source who was a member of the intelligence community telling me that a life or death struggle between different factions of the deep state erupted publicly yesterday. We've been warning about this civil war starting inside the government and then spreading out from there. They'll use Antifa, they'll use Black Lives Matter, they'll use the communists, they'll use anybody that they can get. There'll be false flags. If this shooting war starts inside the government, it's going to go crazy. So I hope that you're prepared with some food, water, medical supplies, ammunition, weapons to protect yourself. You're not going to be able to fight the government. And that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about these bans, as I've said before. You know, the government's going to be fighting with itself. So you just got to make sure that you can secure your family, your friends, and those things from these crazy bands of thieves, robbers, Antifa, Black Lives Matter, communists, whatever. They're going to be out there causing these problems. It's not going to be everywhere, but certainly in the major cities. And it could spill out elsewhere. So I just wanted to let you know that we got that information on that. So with all of that going on, and you know that I support Donald Trump. I've said that so many times. I've been critical of things that he's done because we have to hold our elected representatives, all of our government officials, feet to the fire when they do things that aren't in our best interests. This bombing in Syria. Again, what the hell are you doing? And I've heard all the military arguments about they came within the, you know, the zone they weren't supposed to. That's all horse shit. And I just want to tell you, okay, it's all horse shit. We shouldn't be there at all. Okay? And there are other people that agree with me on that. Of course, there'll be people that agree with it should be done. Well, in the end, this is not going to turn out well, as usual. There may have been some other things going on there, but to be involved in any of that in the Middle East is a really bad idea. And I could go into that, but I want to just say that we had that happen, okay? And then we have this situation where Trump now is going on this trip. And I know Dr. Jerome Corsi encouraged him to do this and many other people to change the narrative of what the whole Russian thing is. That's going to happen anyway with a special prosecutor who, by the way, was involved in the 9/11 cover-up as best as we can tell. Why Trump keeps bringing these people in on his team, and I know he's not really considered part of the team, but it's just this is, you got to ask yourself why an intelligent man has to keep making these mistakes. As much as I respect what he's done here to stand up and be the icon, the example of the rest of the people, you know, their example of what we want to do with restoring the United States of America, the constitutional republic, you know, and then to not be in control of what's going on in his own government. And I know it's hard, but he's got to make some hard decisions, and I've talked about that before. And so I'm going to tell you a little story here, okay, tying into this trip that he's taking to supposedly change the narrative. He's saying he's doing it because he wants to secure our security by, you know, talking to these other nations. Hey, President Trump, we got a war right here in your own government, a serious one that actually endangers us more than anything over there. And I have no respect for Saudi Arabia. You know, we shouldn't be dealing with them at all. They are a terrorist state. The point is this. Let me give you a little fairy tale story, okay? And you'll see where I'm going with this. There's a guy in his home, all right? And he's got a trip scheduled, okay? Yeah, he's going to go. And just as he's preparing to go, somebody's trying to break into his house. And he's got his wife and his kids there, okay? And these people, they don't look good. You know, they're coming in several windows, and they're there to thieve, rob, rape, steal, whatever, okay? But he's still going to go on his trip because he's concerned about his neighbors, his other business things that need to be taken care of. Really. Again, I have a lot of respect for Dr. Corsi, but I think this was exactly the wrong thing to do. And Dr. Steve Pachinik agrees with me, and probably some other people. President Trump, I know you don't listen to this, but it helps to get it off my chest. A man who will not take care of his own family is worse than an infidel. That's in your New Testament. You can't be taking care of the problem of all of the criminal things that are going on in your country by your government, including trying to unseat you, and the Democrats are going to try to do that with a new election. We heard about that, well, we've known about it for a long time, but now there's apparently some real moves to this, and you leave the country during these crises? Not a good idea. You got to start bringing in people. You know, there are people, Dr. Pachinik said this today, there are people, including himself, I'm sure there are others, I won't name who they are, but there are others of us who would be more than willing to come free of charge, absolutely not charge anything, pay our own way totally, to come there and help you to take care of what's going on in this government. But you have to do something. You have to get on the offensive and stop trying to always defend your position. All right? Okay. Enough from me for today. I just wanted to bring everybody kind of up to speed on that. I know it's not a lot of meat, but it kind of summarizes, I think, the danger that we're really, really in now. And we don't need to be overseas trying to take care of things over there. We need to get stuff straight here. Like today, no. Like yesterday, no. Like about 4 months ago. Okay? All right. Out here for now.